Alright, so here we are. I've got kind of a lot done in the past couple days. Let me hide the construction plane. So in the past couple days I've been starting to go down the rabbit hole of doing custom mechs. So the first one that I did is this guy here. It's a diverter slash target bank. So in this position the targets are in the way, kind of underneath Hagrid's hut. And then when it turns a little bit more than 180 degrees, this guide rail right here lines up with the guide rail here. It opens up a orbit shot. So I did that custom mech, made a bracket for it and everything. Even included some like bearings and whatnot, and micro switches for start and stop positions. So yeah, that one turned out pretty good. And I have all the sheet metal files for it, so I can send those off to have them cut for me. One of the other custom mechs that I did is just this diverter right here. Right now I don't have a plan for the coil or how I'm going to actuate it, but in its current position, any ball that feeds out of the scoop right here will come right down to the left flipper. And then anytime there's a ball that's going to be shooting out of the left shooter lane here, the solenoid would actuate this diverter. It lifts up this backside with some good clearance so the ball can pass under it. And then this front end here lowers down to create a ball guide, which allows for some kind of skill shots. So it comes off here, you will be able to full plunge, it'll go through the spinner up here and all the way around. You could partially less than full plunge it and have it feed to their flipper. You can shoot underneath this flipper into the Hagrid's hut shot, which is this hole back here, so under the flipper, and it rolls down into the hole. You can hit any of these targets, or you can even partial plunge it right back into the other in lane that feeds your right flipper. So there's a lot of skill shot possibilities off of that. So that's the second, or well, that's the first one I made, and then I made the diverter over on the right side. And then just the past 2 days I've been working on something that's not really seen, but it's going to be critical so that the subway system and ball staging works correctly. So I took what was a standard VUC, so this guy here, and then I designed a custom bracket that mounts to the back of it using the existing holes in it. And that allows me to sister another coil next to it. So here it is here. Allows me to sister that other coil next to it. And then I designed this cam system here with two cinch pins. And those pins hook to a slingshot plunger and this custom designed diverter. So the purpose of it is going to be that if you were to shoot this VUC right here, the scoop, And if I have a ball staged in it already, ready to go, what would it do with that ball? And how do you handle two balls stacked on top of each other? So I want balls ready to go in every single one of these vucks, so that if you hit one, it'll pop out another, to try to give it a little bit of that magic, instantaneous transfer, right? So to enable that, I have to have a ball staged all the time, and I have to be able to manage the balls as you shoot shots. So let's say, for instance, I shoot that left scoop there. In the normal resting state of that diverter, it'll sit on top of these two little kind of claws here. And then, while it's resting on top of that, the ball that's sitting down in the bottom of the vuck will then get a quick pulse from the coil to lift it up, and it'll roll off of these claws, hopefully, back into the subway. I mean, this is theoretical, but it's at least engineered where I can test the functionality once I get the parts cut out for it. But in theory, that's how that would work. It would just do a light pulse on that vuck coil to kick the ball back into the subway, and then I'll have a subway management system to handle where balls go. It's going to actually be a loop, so it's kind of always feeding itself when it needs to. And with that, I need to know when this vuck has been hit. So there's a second set of optos right side up on top of it, so I can sense when there's a ball sitting on top of those forks to trigger it to kick the ball up and out. And then once that ball is kicked up and out, I can trigger the solenoid on the back here to pull down and actuate to withdraw those forks and let the ball on top fall down into the vuck. So in theory, that's how it should work. Let me show. Where is it? Joints and animate model. So there you have the travel of the plunger at its min and max, and you can see how those cinch pins slide through the slot, and from the side you can see how it withdraws those forks. So the only modification that I'm going to have to do to an existing vuck bracket is I just need to use like a Dremel and cut two slots through the back of the bracket that then allow this diverter to go in and out. And then aside from that, the only other thing I have to do is drill 2 holes for a coil stop. So very minimal modification to an off-the-shelf part. So one of these guys here. Minimal modification of that will allow me to manage the balls that are staged throughout my subway. So there are 3 bucks that are designed in that manner that have that sistered coil on it, and those vucks are this scoop here on the left side. There's a scoop back in here, and then lastly this one here, which doesn't have an entrance from the main playfield, but it does have an entrance from an upper playfield. It can also feed that upper playfield. So it's those three where I have to be concerned about managing the balls going in and out. Anything else is a entrance only, or sorry, exit only. So like these two vucks down here will be part of like the ball trough in a way. I'm not doing a typical ball trough on this. And then there's one in the back corner here that feeds the Quidditch pitch. And that one is only fed through a hole in the back here. So that's just a one-way subway in the hole, out the buck. But there's many other subway entrances all across this playfield that I need to be able to, as the ball goes in the subway, determine, do I need to put it in a vuck? Do I need to send it down to the ball trough? So on and so forth. So, yeah, that's the overall concept of how that's planned to work. I have somewhere in here a rough, kind of a rough sketch of, so let's see, we'll start down here. So this would be the subway system. So I'll actually feed a ball all the way up to the upper right where that first vuck is. I'll use a diverter system to then feed it down here to one of the other vucks. And then that all comes and collects down here, and I'll have kind of like a sortation system to determine if the ball should go to the right or left side. Roughly speaking, that's the concept. It's going to be a circuit so that I can stage and feed balls to all of these. So I kind of need to figure out like a general, what's that circuit look like? So what I'm gonna do first is just kind of sketch from component to component, or vuck to vuck, what the path looks like. And then from there, I'm going to likely have to like raise and lower some points of it so that it clears some of the other mechs and stuff in here. So if I'm starting from this area here, which I still need to put in another kind of like ball launcher, because I'm going to need a way to shoot a ball up the subway system to be able to stage it successfully too. So, maybe I'll start with that. So I'm going to kind of build a little, let's first do some projections of features that are already here. Let's kind of do a projection of that bracket there. Man, I spent so much time playing World of Warcraft in college. Those were the days. But this music, just like, it's home. Okay. I'm just kind of projecting the extents of the bracket. Because I'm going to have to design around that. Okay. So there's that. And with that... So I'm not entirely sure how I want to do this. Because my thought from space constraints is that I need to do another ball launcher mech about 2.5 inches lower. So this would be, in a way, kind of the top surface. Think. Right, because where is... Okay. So that's the bottom of the block. Okay. So let's see. From here, I need to kind of draw just a chunk of playfield, in a way. So... .46 inches. So approximately 1.46 inches. I'll just call it one... well... just to be safe. So what I'm doing right now is kind of drawing what what I anticipate a chunk of wood I would need to mount another one of these. So from there, total length of that bracket is like 4.625. And I'll just call it 2.375 for now. And this could be done with like metal if I wanted to. But I think just from the terms of like having to carve like a groove so that the ball rides cleanly. I think in terms of that, it's going to be easier for me to CNC a groove into a piece of wood than trying to figure out like how do I do it with metal, especially since I'm gonna need a bracket to mount, or gonna need a chunk of wood to mount that launcher bracket to. So let's see. Did I... I don't think I drew any kind of spacing. I'm looking back at like an old drawing. Where I kind of stacked two of these up next to each other to get a rough idea. I guess kind of what I need to do is let's just complete the sketch. Come on. And of course it hit it on me, so why wouldn't it? I should change that projection to all instruction lines. I'm using my parameter of playfield thickness. I can turn that coil whatever way. Who knows how well this is going to work, but... Alright, let's take this shooter lane, bracket, assembly, and let's just make a copy of it. So what I make that? That is negative 2.375 minus playfield thickness. There we go. And then I think that's all the way in the raised position. So that there, with that coil turned, in theory, has clearance. In theory. So I would have to mimic that groove. Which, whatever. I can do that. Alright. Well. I think alignment-wise, pretty close. ever so slightly. Close enough. Alright. So I'll have to make some standoffs that allow me to mount this chunk of wood underneath there. And this may be unnecessary and clunky, but right now it's just how my mind is working. Extrude that. Nope. I want to extrude it to the line there. Whatever. Do it the hard way. Eh. So roughly right, there's that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like the ball cradling right here. And getting that to transfer to the subway without clunking around too much. I think as long as I have these rails come to a point where I can like put the flat bottom of a subway there, just to give it enough like straight direction off of a hit. I think that'll work fine. The solenoid could be turned here. Rotate it. Might be cutting it a little close there. Like, worst comes to worst, I'll push this forward another inch or two. So let's see, where's that body at? Here. Gonna change that to a component. And where did it put it? All the way down at the bottom here. Man, it's kind of pouring rain now. So I want both of those to move. How far is that? 7/8. Actually, just want it to more or less clear. Bracket. We'll do 1.5 inches. Why not? I guess, is that gonna be a problem? When I'm trying to feed the subway. Wonder how much space do I need? And am I gonna have enough power to get it up there? Oh no. Worst comes to worst, I could accelerate it up there with some fancy magnets. Well, I don't have my card open anymore. But yeah, I gotta clear this bracket here. I could, I guess, do that 2 different ways. I could have this just like an inch below, or 1.5 inches below that point there. Which that might be okay. And then have that kind of go straight, and then take a gradual up towards the first vuck. That might be what I think I'm gonna do. So right now it's at 2.375. The height of this bracket is 2.047. Let's just set that playfield. So 2.047 plus 1.5 inches puts me at 3.5. I need to move it down 1.5 inches minus 3/8. So 1 1/8 inches. So let's start by doing that. Take this and this, and move them -1.125. Okay. And I guess I'll just have it so it's kind of clear of that there. Close enough. Just call it -1.5. Probably gonna be really funky. I mean, this is already a chunky playfield. Like, trying to lower this back down, it's gonna be even more chunky. I could probably do it easier and just mount a like do a giant sheet of steel. Do a giant sheet of steel that comes down, so from the playfield, and instead of that whole launch mech, I could just have it kind of in line like this and then kick it up that way, but I feel like this launch mech is a lot more powerful. And it's got the switch built in and located where it needs to be, so that cuts some of that work out of there. So in theory, I should expect to see what here? 3.5? Oh, look at that. I did math correctly. Alright, so that is that. It's gonna be a beast lifting this thing out. Anyways, that gets me clear underneath here. So that way I can now, from there, start sketching out kind of the general path. For the subway. So, I think I had already started a sketch. Not there. This is the one I was on. So what I'm gonna do is project all of the entrances to the box. There's that one. And then don't really need the one back there because that's not part of this circuit. That one there. Oh, that's not the line I wanted to select. There we go. And then this one here. And then let's see, let's get any of the holes. There. Okay. That should be all the holes and bucks. Oh, let's also get the two down in the trough area. Okay. And then I think I'll do kind of the back of the coils here, just because I know those are gonna be a bit of a constraint. That guy there. Gonna have to carve something out around this here a little bit. Put that coil in there. Alright. Now, let's hide the playfield. Let's hide all the other stuffs. I'm hiding them because I want to be able to sketch without it just kind of auto-snapping the stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to do all these as construction lines. Let's offset a little bit. Okay. What I'm trying to do here is come up with like a path. I probably could do this with the playfield on. What was the space between these lines? 1.37. So, there's that section kind of there. It's going to go up. I need to pick this one up here. I probably want to kind of divert back behind here. And something a little along these lines. Almost give it an orbit. It needs to come down to hit that one there. And it'll need to find its way back. Hopefully over that linear rail. Kind of roughly right. That's the subway. roughly speaking. I'm gonna do it in as many straight sections as possible, just because I want to make it easy on myself. Whether I decide to do it out of metal or actually try to do something with plastic. I want it to be easy. So might just kind of come back at like a I'll follow the curve here. And then what I'll do, when I need something to feed around that way, I'll have a diverter that somehow pops in there. In theory. The only thing is I also need to pick up that hole. I'm just gonna draw that line straight up. And we'll do this line. Ooh. That line straight up. I did figure I should be able to get this one, I believe, over to here, because it should clear those mechs. Remember, this is the surface the ball is riding on. So it might be a little tight there. But I might be able to squeeze it through here. Or if worse comes to worse, I'll just feed it down this way. I'm at least pretty sure I can maybe clear those switches. Not quite. Might be able to get it through there. I might be able to drop it down a little bit too, to get it to clear there, as long as I have a gradual enough slope that allows me to get it back into the same height as the rest of the subway. Where's a scoop? Yeah, okay, so that is the line of kind of the bottom. Okay. I guess I'll worry about that center hole a little bit later. Need this to be a pretty decent 45 here. Or not a 45, but like a pretty decent sweeping curve. So, what's the distance here again? 1.337. You do kind of a 40 or a 90 off of here. Okay. So as it's coming across around here, should be able to knock it down into, well, let's think about this. Alright, the back entrance is there. That one's relatively easy to divert. And if I pop it back out of the VUC up there, I can trigger the diverter and send it back over that way. This one here, though, as it comes around, I can have a diverter kick it in. It would almost have to be a two-way diverter, so one that like guides it in there. And then when I kick one out, it's got to be able to go the other direction. It's also got to be able to allow balls to pass by it without dropping in. I could do just like a straight wall. Maybe. I don't know. So let's assume the ball's coming around here. And I gotta kick it into there. Okay, that's easy with a diverter that just knocks it in there. Okay, now if I want it to pass that one by, assuming it has enough momentum, it should be able to just ride around here. But I don't want any to like partially make it and accidentally drop in there. So it's almost like this needs to kind of come down here. I think. Needs to come down and pick up that one, maybe. If I have this, come through this way. And let's say now the ball is coming around here. It should kind of just keep going. But if I need it to divert up into this VUC, then I could have something get in the way of it and kind of knock it up there. I don't know. Or I could use like control gates or something. The hard part. But I need to make sure it's gonna work before I devote too much time to build the machine. Boom, ball comes around. Going. Right here, easy. I can just have another kind of diverter. Carries it down this way. Or allows me to shoot it back out of the buck up here, then the diverter pops out and carries it down this way. So I can have it. Usually the diverter is closed, so it always goes this way. Or I can open the diverter for it to exit the buck. Or enter the buck. So this kind of needs to be the same way. So that diverter needs to be normally blocking the buck and allowing it to travel the path. This might need to be back a little farther here to give me enough downward momentum. So as it's rolling by, and if I have just kind of a flat gate across here, it'll roll across it. And then when I need something to enter the buck, that flat gate hinges open and the ball rolls in. And then when I need something to exit the buck, as long as that gate has kind of a curvature to it, I should be able to kind of launch it backwards and then close the gate. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let me do an arc. Oops. That's not an arc. An arc. Press again. Alright. So that's kind of in theory what I'd want that diverter to look like. And then it may have to have I don't know. It's kind of gonna need like a flat back to it. So that I guess this one I could have it always kind of feed that. Let's remove these constraints. Alright, so let's say that's kind of my path. Alright, so I'm thinking it can plunge or actuate from this direction. Yeah, so like normally it would be in this position, letting balls pass by. And then when I need a ball to enter, the solenoid activates, does that to knock one in there. When I need a ball to exit, the solenoid activates to let it knock one up and out the subway, and then it deactivates to let that ball pass by. I think that's kind of what I'm going to have to do. And that should be doable with some sheet metal. I think pretty easily. Yeah. I'm going to leave that there for reference. This, I think, needs a new point. Man. So that there is kind of my thought processes on that. How long is this? One inch. 1 inch seems good. I just need this curve, this arc to get me up there. Thinking from here I maybe just do a straight line. Maybe, maybe not. I just want this to be easy to make. So the more straight lines, the better. If I do that, and then this here becomes 90. Make this 1.5 inches. Then let's make this 1.5 inches. There's that. Or do I make it just make it an inch. Okay. Inch. Alright. And then I match the angle of that. Do one of those. Okay. Well, I need room for that diverter to reach in there. Inch and a quarter. Alright, inch and a quarter. Alright, inch and a quarter. Thank you. I think that'll be enough. So there's kind of that portion there. I'll leave that portion there for now. Okay. The part I don't know about is clearance going over this rail here. Maybe I could draw that. I think I'll be okay though. And just kind of redraw that diverter, which is, how wide am I making this? I know I've measured this before. 1.337. What's the closest fraction to that? 0.337. Oh, 11:30 seconds ish. Let's just do it. So there's kind of a subway there. Actually, wouldn't mind if this was a little bit more straight. But I can 3D print it and make it curved, whatever. Excuse me. I mean, it is going to be 3D printed, so more than likely. And let's kind of do 2 inches up here. Probably be fine. Takes forever to calculate now. This diverter is easy. I mean, that's just nothing but a line there. That's pretty straightforward. This one's going to be a little more unique. Gonna have to kind of plunge in and out, I think. Like that way. Might be a little tough to do, but I'll figure it out. However that ends up being. Do a 3-point arc. And let's offset that. I'm not going to worry about offsetting that right now. That's kind of the diverter there. How that ends up working, we'll find out. Wonder if I can make it swing. So if I do that, it would have to be shaped a little bit more like what's on the right side there. Kind of like that idea. And then let's kind of offset that. Sheet metal thickness there. So that'd be kind of like sheet metal that would rotate in theory. Can I rotate it? We'll find out. Probably not. Heck no, don't like anything I'm doing. that. And let's try to rotate it again. Doesn't even want me picking that point there. Which is annoying. But it will let me rotate at least. Let me just throw like a little 1/4 inch circle in here. Rotate. Like some of those corners and the take up. Unfolding that sheet metal is going to be a little interesting. But ideally, and it's like normally closed state, kind of be like that, so a ball can just roll across it. And then when it's ready to accept a ball or eject a ball, it goes up and then kicks a ball out or accepts a ball. So that's a close enough design there on that diverter. This one is going to need to be maybe a little similar. So let's go back and... whoa. And... three-point arc. That's pretty close. And then offset that, the stainless steel thickness. Really? I offset now. There we go. So that'd probably be another one that swings in. And drawing this out. Do like a little circle on it. I know it's gonna rotate. And there's... So that's one diverter there. There's one diverter there. This one here will just be a straight line that probably swings in, or whatever I end up doing. Okay. I don't know how that's gonna work yet. Right now I'm just gonna do that there. Okay. And I've got these guys here. So, kind of my thought process with this, do the same thing. Give them 90 degrees out. Okay. More. Just need something to... I don't know what to do here. It all is going to depend on how I sort the balls. Kind of think I want this to come right up into the top of this. My thought process on this is it would be kind of a rotating something kind of rotates and feeds a ball one direction or the other. Which I could kind of do that. Come out sideways here. And Let's just do a circle. I guess a little too big. Then I would think, kind of off the top of that, where I could have the other balls come in from the rest of the subway. Real quick. Just gonna make them inch half, inch and a quarter. How about 1 inch? Something kind of like that. Really roughly speaking. How big is this hole? Did I even make that the right size? Yeah, that should be fine. Oh, that's so annoying. Midpoint that to the midpoint of that. Yeah. I need to set the distance between those so it stays the same. if I do this. Kind of position the bend. And that's not working either. These two need to be parallel. Spacing between them needs to be. Actually, that probably can come straight down like that. Yeah, that's fine there. Probably does need to jog around that coil a little bit. Alright. Then let's see, this needs to jog over so that it's centered. So let's do 1.337 again. That can be on the midpoint of that. So it is kind of going to go, the motor's going to get in the way a little bit. Let's at least do this. And if I offset from that line, what does that get me? There. So I should have enough room to squeeze it around there. Okay. Do a 1.337. What is that? That's not intersecting anything. Yeah. Midpoint of that. Midpoint of that. Okay. And there's kind of my jog over to get around that motor. And I could kind of from here pretty sure I don't have that intersecting correctly. At the very least. Actually, probably should keep this out here a little bit. And do the same with this one. Close enough. Okay. I want this to come straight down. Like that. Because I want it to have kind of a nice curve going in. Whoa. So annoying trying to move stuff in this. Okay. All right. So that should allow me to kind of launch a ball up through here. Hopefully have enough momentum to keep going up into that. Hopefully. Okay. So that'll allow me to plunge a ball into the subway. I think that'll work. Offset that. Alright, the last thing is I need to get a ball from here-ish up to right here. Which shouldn't be too difficult. So, I'm just gonna turn off... Oh, the playfield's already off, okay. That... That. Let's offset this. Same crazy factor. And randomly place a circle. Give it a tangent on that. No. Ah, that's so annoying. Oop. Hey, adding constraints. Oh look, it's still, you know, for me. Okay. All I'm trying to do is get that there, and this. Nope, definitely not. I'm going to fix that one. And let's try this again. Let's give this a nice and sweeping arc. Kinda like that. Why did it just trim that side? What is happening? Okay. Good. Alright. And then offset that. Make it 1.337 again. Alright. So that'll allow me to get balls to that other section that I built earlier. So behind that there will be just kind of like a kicker. They'll kick a ball up around the sweep and let me load it into this secondary launcher lane. and then it'll launch it up here, and it can load this VUC, or it can sweep around to load this VUC, or down to load this one. Alright. And then, whenever I need a ball out of this one here, it'll kick it up the subway and then roll back all the way down to the center here. And then when I need a ball out of this VUC here, it'll kick it up the subway a little bit and then let it roll all the way back down. And when I need to get a VUC or a ball out of this VUC here, it'll just kick it straight back down to the shooter, and then the shooter will run it all the way around the whole loop. Stage it. That's good there. Last thing, I need to figure out this one here. I can't really run it through here because there's gonna be a linear rail thingy there. So it's probably just gotta come over this stuff somehow. Let's see, what's the space between these right now? That's about what I would need. I mean, worst comes to worst, I could shave a little bit off of this bracket here to squeeze the subway through there. But then I gotta worry about getting it over. There's gonna be HDMI plugs coming out here. Yeah, that should be okay. There's enough room for an HDMI cable to come out of there. So I think that's gonna be my best bet. Actually, I can rotate this. Yeah, I can rotate this flipper a little bit to give me even more clearance, I think. Let's see. Rotate that flipper. Why won't it let me rotate? That's also annoying. Selection. Not even let me select that object. That. Ah, where did that go? Oh, it's because I'm in a sketch mode. Duh. Definitely not that way. It might be already pretty close to what I can get out of it. Where's my grabby? That might be good as it gets there. Okay. And let's see what distance we're at now. 1.5 inches. That might be pretty close by the time you factor in the plastic thickness. So I think that'll do. You go back up to the sketch. Wrong sketch. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna draw that there. Why is it not back in reference construction line mode? Okay. Now have a 90 off of there. Might not be necessary to do a 90. Make that tangent to that. Parallel to that. Wait. Fix that guy. And do the parallel. And give it a distance of... What the... No. Okay. And let's unfix that. And... Okay. So annoying. I know I could be specific with this, right? But I'm just trying to get things roughly placed. Let's do a parallel on those. Alright, I already have them. And I'm going to draw a line between them. And I'm going to draw another line. I want to make that the 1.337. And then I want that to be on the midpoint of that. And parallel to that. I mean, that's right there. I can shave 1/8 off of at least this bracket here. Which might end up being what I have to do. About enough clearance there. And I'll shave a little bit off that bracket. So I can't rotate this anymore. It's already interfering with a switch or a target, so. Alright, I think that's looking good. So let's kind of finish out this subway here. This is just an entrance, so that doesn't need to be perfect. Alright, so that'll get through there. That's good. Alright. I think that's the circuit. So how I get this to be drawn in here correctly? I don't know. Gonna take some figuring. I'm gonna have to, like, I think I'm gonna have to like extend the profile of the subway all the way along the main stretch here. And then I'm gonna have to extend the profile from here and have it join on the subway. And then from here and have it join on the subway. Oh, it's gonna be tough. But I think from a layout perspective, it's gonna fit. Let me throw everything back in for visibility. Then give it one last look around here. So, and the sketch here is the bottom of the subway that the ball rides on. So if we flip it right side up, that lines up with, you see the troughs. Now, might be difficult because I think this needs to be raised up an inch, and I need enough fall from this point here down to here, or rise, whatever. The grade needs to be such that a ball will still roll down it at 6.5 degrees. So let me find a way to check that. There's that, and I think what was that sketch? Nope. I don't think I saved the sketch I need, but do a new one. On that plane there. And then basically what I want to do is, where is it? Here, so let's do some projections. I want to project that point there. And that point there. And that point there. Okay. Let's turn off the playfield, turn it sideways. Actually, so I have those points. I also need to project up here. I don't know, probably just the top of this guy here. Let's measure. So from there to there. Alright, that's a ballish. So let's do one more projection. That point there. Then go back and hide playfield. Go back to the left side. Where'd that point go? I just projected. There it is. It's hiding on me. where the sorter thingy that I'm going to build right here can sort it, and then dump it into a trough that goes and feeds down this way. Okay. So that's pretty significant progress. I wanted to, now that I have most of the mechs in here that are going to mount underneath, with the exception of some custom stuff, I wanted to make sure the subway circuit would work the way I want it to work. And it will. It will. It'll even be able to stay at that level and then kind of come back up to the height I need it to be at. So, yeah. And I can maneuver it around all the stuff. All the ins and outs will work. The diverters associated with the ins and outs will work. Just going to be a lot of 3D printing. I might try to do some of the straight bends, or straight paths with sheet metal. Because why not add more weight? No, really, it's just... it's easier for me to put in an order with send, cut, send than try to 3D print something this big, or to even try to do my own vacuum form table and make my own ramps, which I would like to try that before I do 3D printing. I would like to do the vacuum formed trough system. I think it just looks cleaner because it's clear, but maybe that's just me. Yeah. So that's that. With that, I'm gonna save and call it a video. Call it a video for today. All right. Well, if you hung with me as I putzed through all this, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment down below with questions, and I'll be happy to answer anything, and I welcome ideas, so yeah, appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.